Hello everyone, Petko here, and in this video I will show you how to generate strategies for the Bitcoin using AI Studio. As we said, the generator uses the historical data that you have imported or prepared. In this case, I used the premium data from the Forex historical data app, and I made it work for my Hot Forex broker that I'm using at the moment for Bitcoin trading. And below I have the symbol, the period, H1. You can choose on what time frame you want to trade. So if I just click on start, you will see first of all the speed. Okay, this is the fastest generator for strategies, and already I have over 50-60 strategies. They all go to the collection. Okay, if I click on the collection, you will see the strategies right here listed on different pages, 10 strategies per page. Now obviously I don't want to have just random strategies. I will stop it. I will delete all of these strategies, but before actually deleting them, I will click on one of them and I will show you what we have on the second bar. We have optimizer, we have normalizer. The optimizer is very similar to the optimizer that we have in MetaTrader. So if I just click on start, it will look for better parameters. It didn't find in this case, but it will look for better parameters with the strategies. Now optimizing the strategy sometimes is very risky because you can over optimize it. In other words, you will find the very best parameters for the tested period, and usually what happens with such strategies is after you start trading, they start losing, okay? Just because you have found the best parameters exactly for the period you are testing, and these are not robust strategies. The next thing is normalizer, which is unique for AI Studio. It normalizes the strategies, reduces the stop loss, the take profit if you're using, or it pushes the parameters to the default parameters. Then we have the walk forward, which is a little bit more advanced tool. Basically what it does, if I click on start, it optimizes strategy for a certain period of time. Then it tests the strategy on a next period, it includes that period and optimizes again and tests the strategy again, and you can see that it found much better result, which means that it found a better strategy. Okay, we have the Monte Carlo, which is my favorite instrument right here among the robust instruments. So Monte Carlo, multi-market, and out of sample monitor are robust tools. Okay, they don't change the strategy like the optimizer, normalizer, and the walk forwards, but they test the strategy if it is robust or not. So with the Monte Carlo, I can test for randomized history data, randomized spread, randomized slippage, randomly skip positions, randomly skip position exit entry. We have strategy variations, which is the one I use the most. So simply it will test the strategy with different indicator parameters. And I like to use as well a randomized backtest starting bar, which will backtest the strategy from different bars or from different starting point. As well, randomized spread is not a bad idea to be checked, because as we saw with Hot Forex and with most of the brokers, the spread is floating. So sometimes your position will open on $24 spread, sometimes 25, and if there is volatility, it might be even more. Okay, so if I click on start, it will perform 20 tests, and you see that just 13 out of the 20 were validated, right? Which is not enough for me. I like to have at least 18 or minimum 16 out of the 20, which is 80% of the tests to be validated. Okay, and that is something I always use. Then we have multi-market, where we can add different markets. For example, I can add here Ethereum, Ripple, or any other cryptos that I have as historical data, and I can check if this strategy works well on the other markets. And as well, I have the out of sample, which I will explain just in a minute. Okay, now the best thing with EA Studio that it improved during the years is that we don't have to do all of that manually anymore. I just went over it to demonstrate what we were doing before. We were generating strategies, they were going to the collection. After that, if I like any strategy, for example, that one, I was going through Optimizer, Monte Carlo, multi-market, one by one. Understand what I mean? It was taking time because I had to do it manually for each strategy. Now we don't need to do it anymore because we have the reactor. Here it is, right under the generator, we have the reactor. And you see what happens? If I switch between generator, we have 1, 2, 3 historical data, strategy properties, generator settings. And if I switch to reactor, we have the same thing plus optimization plus robustness testing. Okay, so what the reactor does, it walks all the strategies through these testing automatically. I don't have to do it by myself manually. So let me remove all the strategies in the collection. I will go to the reactor and I will just set it very quickly so you will see how I'm using it. Okay, now the generator, I will go for Bitcoin on hourly chart. As strategy properties, I will start with 0.01 because this is the minimum quantity I can trade, and I would suggest you always to start with 0.01, especially if you're trading Bitcoin, because this way you will just test the expert advisors. You won't risk a lot if you try them on your live account, and I don't like to stimulate and motivate my students and traders to use huge volumes or big accounts. That's a personal choice how much you want to trade. One more time, changing the lot doesn't change the strategy or the robot, okay? It changes just the result. Then I have the option to select if I want to use stop loss or a take profit. I will not use stop loss and take profit. First of all, I have done many tests with EI Studio generating strategies with stop loss or without stop loss, or with take profit, without take profit, and I don't have like 100% proof that one of the two works better. Okay, and the thing is, I will be including expert advisors in this course. So if I include stop loss, let's say I will be using a stop loss somewhere between 1,000 and 10,000 pips. Now if your broker has 2 digits and my broker, for example the one I'm using at the moment, Hot Forex, has 3 digits, if I set a stop loss, let's say $100, $200, anything, then if you are using more or less digits, the stop loss will change. It will become either $1,000 or it will become either $10. That is another thing that I improved from the previous version of the course, where I were including expert advisors with stop loss and with take profit, and some of the students were like, why the EAs don't work with my broker, or why I see very huge stop loss and very huge take profit. And others were just fine because they were matching the digits with their broker and my broker. Okay, and that is why when we are talking about Bitcoin, I do not use stop loss and take profit. And for the beginner traders, these are automated levels where the position will close on a loss or it will close on a take profit. But if you don't have a stop loss and a take profit, simply the strategy will exit based on the exit condition. There will be indicator inside, so no worries if you don't have stop loss. The trade still closes when the exit condition is there. And many traders say that it is better to trade without stop loss and a take profit. One more time, for me, I don't have 100% statement to say is it better without or is it better with. And that's why in this course I will include expert advisors that are without stop loss and take profit, so we will depend on the entry rules and on the exit rules. But you can test, of course, generating strategies with stop loss and with take profit. Okay, as generator settings, I have the working minutes, so I will leave it to 1 hour, and you will see how many strategies we will generate for 60 minutes. Usually I leave the reactor working for 10 hours, like 600 minutes, and this way I leave it overnight. And actually right now I'm recording late in the evening, so I will leave it to 600 minutes because I want to get more and more strategies. And something important here, when we generate for a longer time, it doesn't mean that we will get better strategies. We will just get a bigger number of strategies, and in the collection we will see always the top strategies. Okay, so the longer you run it, the more chances you have for finding better and better strategies. Then I will leave it the way it is, search best, net balance. So on the top in the collection I will see the strategies that have most profit. Out of sample is quite interesting. I will select 10% out of sample. And what that means, the out of sample, if you remember right here, out of sample monitor, it divides the whole backtest period on different zones. So if I have 30% out of sample, this means that the generator will use 70% of the historical data to generate strategies, and it will simulate trading on the last 30% of the data. Now, if I switch to 10%, this means that the generator will use 90% of the time, and for the last 10% it will simulate trading. And in our case, with the historical data that I have, this will be from the 3rd of August until December, so that would be, what is it, August, September, October, November, and December, a little bit from December, so 4 months and something. Okay, it will be just a simulation how these strategies would perform if I have placed them for trading on the 3rd of August. But actually I won't be testing them on a demo account or a live account. Okay, the strategy builder will do the simulation. This is one of the methods to avoid over optimization, because I will just choose the strategies that are profiting in this last 4 months and something. Okay, so going back to the reactor, I will one more time use out of sample 10%. Maximum entry indicators, maximum exit indicators, I will leave it this way. Generate strategies with preset indicators will be suitable if you have some favorite indicators. For example, let's say you like the MACD indicator and you want the MACD in every strategy, you can check that. When you click on it, you will go to preset indicators in tools, and then you can add MACD or any other. Okay, then this MACD indicator will be in all of your strategies, but I don't usually do that. I want the generator to show me which are the best combinations between different indicators. Use the common acceptors criteria. Yep, we need to use it. This is where we set some criteria. For example, I will select that I want to have minimum 500 count of trades for every strategy or for every robot. Now, with the time I found out that the more count of trades we use, the more robust strategies we have. Okay, because imagine you have a backtest just with 20-30 trades, or you have the strategy executing just 20 or 30 trades for the last 3 years. I guess you wouldn't be happy trading such strategy, right? But having 300, 400 or over 500 trades that happened for the last 3 years and the strategy is profitable, you will know that this is a robust strategy and you can depend on that strategy for the future, right? Because if it executed 500 times the same rules and it kept being profitable, then there is a higher chance that the strategy will keep being profitable in the future. Okay, minimum profit factor 1.2 is just alright. The profit factor is the net profits divided by the net losses. You can add any other criteria from right over here, but I will stick to this one. And as well, we have the option to set criteria for the in-sample part, which in our case will be the 90% zone. And I will go to profit factor again, but I will decrease it just to 1.1. Okay, I will remove the net profit, no net profit. Obviously on the top we will see the strategies that have most net profit. So minimum profit factor, here it is, 1.1. And this is the criteria that I will be using. Okay, so what happens now? The generator will produce strategies on Bitcoin on hourly chart without stop loss and take profit. It will generate the strategies over the 90% of the historical data, and for the last 10% it will test them, it will simulate trading, and it will pass only the strategies that fulfill the acceptors criteria. Okay, only the strategies that have more than 500 trades and that have more than 1.2 as a profit factor and that have more than 1.1 in the in sample and in the out of sample. Optimizing strategies, I'm not going to use it one more time because it is risky to over optimize the strategies. With my experience, I know that the generator finds good enough combinations between indicators and parameters, so no need to optimize them and to look for better parameters. That's personally my opinion. Okay, so in this lecture I'm just showing you how I use the Reactor by myself, and below we have the robustness testing. I will leave the Monte Carlo 20 test 80%, meaning that at least 16 out of the 20 tests from the Monte Carlo should be true. Here it is, one more time the settings. And if the strategies from the generator pass the acceptance criteria, they will go through the Monte Carlo. If they go through the Monte Carlo, we will see them in the collection. Okay, so here we will see the number of strategies that are generated, how many pass the validation, and how many strategies pass the Monte Carlo. And if the strategy passes everything that I've said, it will go in the collection. And one last thing I wanted to mention, if I click on tools and I go to settings, I set it usually to close the trades at Friday close, or at Friday to close all trades by 9 p.m. Okay, different brokers close different time on Fridays. Some will close at 10 p.m., others at 11 p.m., others at midnight. I put it at 21, so doesn't matter what your broker uses as a closing hour. I want to make sure that you will not have trades left behind for the weekend. That's all. I will go to the Reactor and I will click on start. Again, very fast, but notice the difference. Not so many strategies going into the collection now, right? Only one passed everything and it went in the collection. Here it is. You see a very nice equity line, and as well the out of sample test is profitable. So what I will do, I will leave the Reactor running for 600 minutes, which is 10 hours. And something more that I will do right now after stop recording, because I don't want to make the video any longer, I will open the very same EA Studio on other two browsers, and not just on different tabs but on separate browsers, because this way it works faster. And I will generate strategies at the same time for M30 and for M15. Okay, this is one of the best things that I liked the first time when using EA Studio, that I can run multiple Reactors on my computer on different browsers. Okay, so I will leave it now for H1. I will open two more browsers actually for M30 and M15, and tomorrow I will show you how many strategies I have generated and what strategies we will have in the collection. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the video with the results, and if you have enjoyed the video, give it a like and subscribe to our crypto trading channel if you have missed to do it. See you in the next video. Bye.